Let's talk to Angela Denker, who is a pastor from Minneapolis and has written a book called Red State Christians, Understanding the Voters Who Elected Donald Trump. Hello to you. Thank you for talking to us. Now, we've seen Trump supporters in recent days praying for the recovery of their president. How strongly does religion feature in politics in the States?
Hugely, of course, and that's a bit of a contrast there with you in the UK. But I think that what we're beginning to see in the United States, especially under President Trump, is that religion serves as sort of a veil to cover over voting preferences that have much more to do with race or have much more to do with an idea of an American nationalism that really has very little to do with the Jesus of the Bible.
OK, so when you travelled around the US for your book and you were interviewing people and you went mostly to Republican areas to speak to those that voted for Donald Trump last time, what did you find?
Of course, a huge difference from 2016 to 2020 was the huge antipathy of religious voters and Christian voters towards Hillary Clinton in particular. That antipathy is not as strong at all against Vice President Biden, so I do think that will be a big factor of change. But what I also saw was the beginning strain, which has continued to strengthen since 2016 when I did these interviews, the beginning strains of this nascent idea of nationalism, where Christians begin to see their country as very closely connected to God and to the Bible. And so for American Christians, America almost becomes like their Israel.
Their Israel?
Yes, yes, this sense of that. And President Trump has talked about a lot of this rhetoric. And while President Trump has never claimed to be a scholar of the Bible, he has really used this type of rhetoric as creating America as sort of holy land. And particularly, of course, this is racialized language, a white America as a holy land. And just this morning, you saw another prominent conservative Christian leader, James Dobson, here in America, saying that he was voting this year for the freedom of the suburbs. Again, this is language in America that is heavily racialized language, and again has much more to do with an idolatrous idea of a past America that really, again, has very little to do with Jesus of the Bible, who I have to remind my fellow Christians in America is not American. And also we've had to grapple with here in America that Jesus is not white. So it's been a difficult few years.
Where does anti-abortion come into this as well?
Yes, I have a chapter in the book focused on abortion and the pro-life movement, but I think that the COVID-19 pandemic has really laid bare sort of the fallacy of the idea that to be anti-abortion means an overarching claim to be pro-life. Here in America, we have seen 200,000 Americans die of COVID-19. And the focus of our American right-wing leaders, many of whom claim to speak for Christianity, has been that we must worship the economy and we must first bring back the American economy, which of course I agree with. My family and I have suffered the effects of COVID on the economy, but there's been very little attention to the value of human life in America. Whether it's with Black people dying at the hands of police, whether it's with COVID-19. And so I think that a lot of American Christians and the Democratic Party has begun to ask Christians these questions about what it truly means for politicians to be pro-life, beyond the idea of abortion.
Sure,
and again,
that's
we're seeing this play out in this report as well.
Donald Trump said in one of his tweets in the last 2 days, "I'm starting to feel good," he said, adding that the treatments he was receiving in the Washington Medical Center were miracles from God. Is that just the way he speaks, or is he deliberately linking his recovery to religion?
Well, Trump at a very gut level has long known how to speak the language of Christian conservatives in this country, particularly white, rural Christian conservatives. So I think that even if he may not have thought out that this was a direct appeal, it definitely is. They definitely hear it that way. But because of the inequity in American healthcare, that miracle is not available to the majority of Americans.
Thank you very much for talking to us. Thank you. And thanks for getting up so early as well. We appreciate it. Thank you.